All right. Okay. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. And today's session on session number 3 from Tauheed Muffadal is about the environment. Previously, the last 2 sessions were about the human being and the creation. The second session was on the animal kingdom. And today we will be discussing the environment and everything that constitutes part of the environment and how it has its effects and how they are part of the plan and design by the all-knowing creator Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I'm going to start the session with 2 of our friends. So I guess the 2 guys, does anyone remember what are the names of the 2 guys?
Ali and Jack.
Yes, that's right. It's Ali and Jack. Ali and Jack. So Ali is a, what did we learn from the first session? Ali is a believer. And Jack is a non-believer. Yeah. So that's what we learned in the last session. In the last session, it was about animal kingdom, right? And all the animals we discussed. Today, we'll just watch what they're up to and what's happening in today's session. Okay, I'm going to play the videos. So I want everyone to listen in carefully what Ali and Jack are up to.
The animal kingdom section was so unique, Ali. It's so interesting that I watched it a few times. I also showed the last 2 sessions to my friends, Gemma and Alice, and they would like to join us on this journey too. If you don't mind, can I invite them to today's session? Sure, Jack, that would be awesome. Hi, Ali. I am Gemma. So nice to meet you. Hi, Ali. My name is Alice. So nice to meet you. What are we going to learn today, Ali? Today, we will be learning about the environment. Can you, Alice and Jack, guess what are today's topics? All of you guys can help my friends guess today's topics.
Okay, so what we are trying to look at is what are today's topic. And I'm going to pause the video there so you guys can find what are the items. Okay, so for those who are looking, can they find out the different things in the environment? What are some of the items or some of the things that you can find on your screen that relate to the environment? So I'll give it a pause and I'll give you guys chance to either say it or write it, type it, think about it, anything that you like. Yeah.
Stars,
mountain, sun,
rain,
moon,
mountains, leaves,
rain, clouds,
time,
leaves,
rain,
fire, leaves, trees, snowflakes,
sun,
Can anyone guess what the 2 clocks are doing?
representing the time of day and night. Telling
showing
time.
the time.
Yeah.
Representing the time of day and night.
Yep. Okay. All right. So I'll stop here. And so and that's pretty good job. So yes, there's rain, there's cloud, there's sun, the moon, the stars, day, night, the 4 seasons, trees, grains, fire, leaves, all of these things are Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation as part of the environment and for our benefit and for the benefit of the plants. Some of them are for the benefit of the animals. And that's what we will be covering in today's session. So The environment includes atmosphere, the sun and the moon, the stars, sky, the day and the night, the summer and the winter, right? Um, and we'll be covering what else is in the environment. We'll be covering the winds, the four fundamentals, which are earth, air, water, and fire, rain, mountains, the plant kingdom, the date tree. So this is what we will be hoping to cover and finish in today's session. So I've got the sky as first item or topic as part of our discussion. Who can tell me what color is the sky?
Black and blue.
Anyone else?
White.
White. Okay. Anyone else? No? All right. And this is how the sky looks in the space. Which color is the sky looking like? It looks pretty dark, right?
Shiny. Shiny.
Yeah, shiny because of the stars, yes. And it's dark. It's very dark. So the sky as we see here is blue, and we see it blue not because it is blue, because when we go to this at night, the sky looks dark, purplish, bluish, and looks pretty blue in the daytime. In space, it looks pretty dark. If we miss out the shiny part, all the black is the sky itself. So if you look at it, actually the sky looks blue, or sometimes it looks reddish, is because of the light scattering across it. So there are dust particles in the atmosphere. When the light hits it, it actually reflects, and that's why we see the color of the light. Sometimes it looks green huey, but actually there is no color like that. It's just dark. And the reason Allah has created it, so it makes such a nice feeling. Now I'll tell you something interesting, which a lot of doctors don't tell you, is that Allah has created the sky in this color for us to see. It actually helps improve the ailment of the eyes. So there are some diseases in the eye that can be cured by gazing at this specific color. And no longer have you seen anyone looking at the sky and they say, oh, I can't look at it, it's too tight, it's hurting my eyes. No, it's always nice, relaxing, soothing for your eyes. People like to look at it as a mean of relaxation, and that's why in the past years, the physicians, the doctors used to tell the patients who have ailment like diseases of the eyes, some condition with their eye, to fill water in a basin that is filled with a similar color, like a greenish huey color or a blue hueish color, violet color, blue violet color. So that actually will help improve your eyes. So next time when you look at the sky, I want everyone to say Shukr Alhamdulillah that Allah has created it. And there are so many things we are still to learn, that we can have cure for our eyes. Allah has created so many things, and blessings are hidden in so many things, which we don't even look at it. We just think the sky is there, right? So there are so many lessons for us to learn from the sky itself. And how is the sky holding up by itself? You know, if you have a roof over your head or an umbrella, somebody has to hold it, right? Who is holding the roof? Has anyone thought about it? How is the roof, how is the sky over us not falling down? Has anyone heard of sky falling down? Ever? No?
No.
And see, you have to think, how has Allah created all of these magnificent stars, the planets, the sun, the moon, and all on top of them is the sky. And we are only seeing the first sky. There are 7 skies, like 7 heavens. We don't even know what's beyond it, and we don't know how it is holded. Some things we just have to think about it. How is the sky holding by itself? Why is it not moving and going around? Um, so those are some interesting things about the sky and how it is. There is a cure for us. So what we learned, that sky, looking at the sky is good for our eyes. So when it's not too bright, it's not hurting your eyes, it's nice and cool time in the evening, spend some time looking at the sky and count your blessings. So consider the sunrise and the sunset. Now, who can tell me which part on the scale, north, west, south, east, does the sun rises from?
East and west.
Where does the sun rises from? Does it rise from east or does
East.
it rise from west?
East.
East.
So who can tell me which picture on your screen is the picture of a sunrise and which one is of a sunset?
The first one.
The first one is sunset.
First
And
one, sun.
one is
Second one is sunrise.
Yes, correct. So the first one is sunset. You know, when the sun is setting, it's getting darker and you can see there is darkness in the sky. When the sun is coming out, it comes, there is light. Now, there is a blessing in this for us. And we have to think about these things. How has the all-knowing creator created everything so beautiful for us? What if the sun rises straight up, goes straight up? You know, it would be so hard for everyone. It will be just hitting you hard. If it wasn't a slow movement in setting and rising, the intensity of the heat going down, you know, it will be just same temperature hot. It would be too much for it. If it was too close to the earth, we wouldn't be able to stand it, right? So all of these are blessings of our Lord, right? And it creates such beautiful scenic pictures. Everyone once in their life would like to go near the mountain, near the lake, near the ocean, and would like to see the sun rising and the sun setting and take a picture of it and think about the creation of how Allah has ordered the sun to set and rise, all for our benefit, right? What benefit do we get from the sun rising? It is for us. So imagine if the sun was all there, it would be too much hot for the plants. They would just dry up. You know, the earth would be all solid. We won't be able to create anything out of mud, like the clays, the utensils that the people used to make. And if the sun was always there, your school timings would be much longer. You would be at school. People who are working would be working longer hours. If the day was 100 hours long, men would be working longer. We would have lost our comfort. We would have been working. And some of the one who are wealthy and powerful will make you. So perpetual sunshine, which is never ending sunshine, would have heated the earth, and the repercussions would be on animals and plants. The animal would have dehydrated out of thirst. They don't have any shelter. They don't have houses to go in, except for the ones that can go into tunnels and caves and holes. What about other animals, right? And if it was complete darkness, there was no sun after the sunset, it was complete darkness, then it would be deeply difficult for us. So it's just like, imagine your globe in your home. When you light up, you know, it gives you the light to see things at right now it's night. I've got the light on, you know, it's just giving me light enough for me to see, as opposed to complete darkness, right? So it's the lamp or the light, whichever example works for you. It was for our betterment, that this is how Allah has created it. Allah has created 4 seasons. Who can tell me what are the 4 seasons? Actually, on the picture, starting from
Summer, autumn, winter,
spring,
spring.
summer, autumn, winter.
I want someone to start
Spring.
from the left of the picture, which is right over here. Which season is this?
Spring.
That's spring. That's correct. What's the next?
Autumn.
Summer.
Summer, autumn, winter.
So this is
Autumn.
summer. This is autumn. Which one is it? What? And this one is spring. Which one is what? I want one person to tell me.
The
Summer
first
is
one
beginning.
spring, second one is summer, third one is autumn, fourth one is winter.
Yes. So spring, where the leaves start coming in, summer, autumn, where the leaves fall, and then winter, right? Now Allah has created these 4 seasons, and it has great benefit for us, for the animals, for us as human beings. If it was just one season, like some alien planet where it's just hot, 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 this is the same thing what I told you about. When the sun would be there, it would be difficult. Plants would have dried up, the earth would remain hard, and we won't be able to do any digging, making utensils out of it. Soiling, reaping would be difficult. It would be difficult for the animals. So the movement of the sun between the two vital plants renews the trees and the plants. So when the sun moves all around and comes, when in the spring new leaves come, when you go from summer to winter, there's no leaves in it. Some plants are there which have it, but we're talking about in general how it has been created, right? Because of the weathers, there is air there which causes the clouds and the rain. The wind moves the clouds, the air happens, the animal gets their bodies in, they get the new energy in their body. The heat is important for us to feel nice, warm and cozy. It's also good for the physical body, same as the coldness. The winter is also good for some of the ailments of the physical bodies. When it's the flowers comes in season, the animals get their heat, and in summer there is now great benefit in it. So when we come to fruiting time, if there was no air or it wasn't hot, the fruit would not have ripe. So if you eat mangoes, and anyone that has eaten an achar, it has got mango, which is, or a green mango, which is also called a curry, is actually very bitter. So the fruits will be bitter. If there was no air, air carries sound, air carries heat and cold. So it heats up the fruit, which ripens the fruit, right? And that's one of the blessings of Allah, right? These seasons are a blessing. If all we have to do is count the blessings, what our Lord Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator, has done for us. We have to think about these little things. The waste products that are there in our body, that comes out of the animals and others, when the earth gets dried up, it gets out of it. There are so many air, and when the winter comes, the air gets purified. All of the things are gone from the air, it gets purified. It is good for our physical body. Nights gets longer, and when we look at it, any particular time, the day or night never extends a 15-hour period, right? So it would be 15 hours long for most part of the earth. So that's some of the things that we have to consider. Each season bringing its own benefit. Now I have to ask a question, and you guys have to think: how does a plant know when is it time for the leaves to fall? When is it time for him to get new leaves, for him to get buds, flower buds, fruits on it? When are the fruit ripe? And how does a plant know what it has to do? How does an orange tree knows it has to grow oranges on it? How does a mango tree knows how to grow?
Instinct.
It is all designed by Allah.
It is all designed by Allah, the creator. So animals, while have instincts, plants don't have instincts. They are part of the supreme creation of Allah, while they are following a set path and design. They have a time when they fruit up, there is a time when they get leaves, there is a time when they shed their leaves. They are all part of the wonderful creation of Allah, and these are the things that we have to really think. You just see a tree, but Allah said, in your environment, there are so many signs for you to recognize the one creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All we have to do is look. If we just look at a tree, why does it have branches? Why does the twigs hold the tree? The twigs are holding the fruit, sorry. The twigs are holding the fruit as if like hands holding for you to come and take it. We have to think all of it, right? When does it know? And we'll be discussing a lot of other things, but these are some of the things I want you guys to think about, right? When the next time you see this is summer, what happens in autumn? You will see all of a sudden the tree. Who tells the tree, hey, the tree number one, hey, mate, it's time for the leaves to start falling. You're not shedding your leaves. It's not happening. No one is going, or you don't go and tell them, hey. So let's talk about one of the mighty creations, the sun, that actually makes so many things happen. The heat, the season, all of them are part of the movement of the sun. So the sun, in very simple terms, who are little, we'll give some example for people, for kids that are young and old, they're listening. So the sun passes through 12 zodiac signs. And the zodiac signs are, when someone asks you, oh, what's your horoscope? You say, oh, I'm Aquarius, I'm Pisces, I'm Aries, I'm Capricorn. They're all part of the zodiac belt, which we recognize as the zodiac signs, and the sun moves across it. And when the sun moves from Pisces all the way back, it completes one cycle, which makes one year. So we will be thinking about it, right? Thinking about the seasons that occur due because of the movement of the sun. When the earth moves, it creates day and night. When the sun moves, it creates these winter, summer, autumn, spring. And we get our grains, which we eat for wheat, rice, we get fruits ripen up during summer. All of these are part of a cycle, but it is a cycle and a repetitive cycle which happens specifically on its time. Sun doesn't miss its clock. It's never late. But if it was late, we would have been doomed. Or if it has missed the set, we would have been doomed. For it has missed a rise, we would have been doomed. It's all part of the plan. And see how subservient, how good, listeners and followers these creations of the Almighty are. They do not miss. They always do what they have been ordained by the Almighty Allah to do. And we have to think, like, as humans, what are we doing? What we have to do? And we are the one who will be getting the heaven if we do all the good stuff, and hell if we do the bad stuff, right? And how are we listening to our Almighty Lord? We have to think about it, right? So we have to look at, if there was too much light. Now imagine if the sun was too close to the earth, we would have been cooked, fried. There would have been no life. Everyone would have been dead. If it remains too longer, we have to think of all the little things: the time of the sun, the heat, which part of the country is, what changes, how difficult it would have been had the sun. If only we think about the sun and the effect it has on the human life, the animal life, the plant. If the sun doesn't go down, all the plants would die. They would be dehydrated. They will be gone. The soil would be hard. The animals would suffer, right? So we have to think of all of these things, and then think that such is the magnificent planning which has gone into all of this, and it never fails. It never fails. It always works according to its function. It's working automatically, as we say it. It does it automatically. We don't have to do anything about it. And it never stays behind. It never goes ahead, right? All this is part that makes this universe work according to a particular order, and it has organization in it, right? So that's the sun, and that's the zodiac belt. Now see how the sun is moving. This is the earth. The earth is moving in its axis, but the sun is moving around all of this. When the sun goes from Pisces, comes around, goes back to Pisces, that completes one solar year. Solar years are accurate for calculating the years, the period of time for contracts and others. In the past time, solar years were always followed. So you can learn more about it, zodiac signs and how the belt around it, whoever is interested in the movement of the sun and what effect it can have. And it is estimated after 5 billion years, scientists think the sun will lose and we will be out in a loop. So you can learn more about it. We'll talk about the moon, one of the most beautiful creations that we feel we are always welcoming and waiting, right? Especially when it's time for Eid. We are waiting for it. The kids are waiting. Oh, the moon has come out. The next day is Eid. And it changes the lunar cycle for us. It changes the months that we follow according to the Islamic Hijri. And in some of the other religions and other parts of the world, the months are based on the lunar cycle, the cycle of the moon. And Allah has revealed great sign. See, imagine if the moon was shining as bright as the sun. Again, it would be the same thing. The day would be longer. It would have caused maybe heat. Even if it doesn't cause heat, if it was producing so much, we would be working longer, right? But again, there are some people who have to do their task in the coldness of the night. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has organized that. Now there are farmers who do agriculture late at night in the moonlight before the sun rises. There are people who are milking the cow at that time. They are the people who cut trees at that time. All of these things, there are so many other things we can think of, that people during the day, they do other activities such as leisure. Sometimes we want to go around, go to the ocean, go to the beach, and at night we can do some of our work. So there is not complete darkness, but the moon actually changes. So sometimes it's a full moon, half moon, crescent, waxing crescent, Gibson crescent, all of these, they are small. Then it's not so bright. When it's full moon, it's very bright. When it's not, if it's only coming up like the new moon, then it's not so bright. And that's why there are stars for us to see and brighten our nighttime, to see the wonderful sky. Now we have to think about the wisdom underlying why the moon was created such. What is the wisdom behind the nighttime? Why there is then, so that we can rest and relax, right? So nighttime is for sleeping and relaxing your body. So you wake up and you're all better. So that's moon. There are so many other interesting facts about moon, but we'll move on to the stars. Now, who can tell me what are stars? Can anyone tell me what are stars?
A giant ball of gas.
That's right. So stars are huge balls of burning gases. Actually, that's why they are bright, they are shining, we can see them. But now stars is a very interesting thing for us to consider. In the Quran, Allah has said, for He has taken a promise on the stars, for they are the great creation of Allah. We need to think about it. In chapter 56, Surah Waqia, Allah has talked about the stars. So what we need to think about it, yes, they're giant balls, but there is something very interesting about the stars. So people who are non-believers, or people even who are astrophysicists and scientists, they don't think. So next time when you are having a discussion, you can raise this question. So some of the stars Allah has created to be fixed in their spot. They do not move. They are fixed by the order of Allah. They are there in their position. They are not moving around. While there are some other stars that are moving, and they move based on the quantum. So basically, every star produces radiation and energy. And based on the amount of radiation energy it produces, there is movement in it, the velocity, the speed with it moves with, and that is called quantum. And that is why they're saying quantum computers will be coming, right? So why has Allah, the creator, now again, if everything was created by nature itself, everything came on itself, it would be following a similar pattern. Why would one thing be fixed and not moving while so many others moving? And that also for different velocity. That means some stars are moving very fast, some are moving very slow, some are moving slower, fast, extremely fast. They're changing, so that you who is studying astrophysics, who is studying astrology, they're looking at the stars, for them to come and know and find out about their Lord, their creator. That why, if I only think about, I said the same thing, look at the start. If we think about the environment, there are so many signs for us to consider. And those who believe in the evolution as done by itself, by Big Bang theory or anything, we have to think, why is it not following a single pattern? Why the stars are fixed and moving, right? So all of these are the signs that there is a purposeful design, there is brilliance behind it. And I'm going to tell you some of the benefits of why some stars are fixed and why some stars move, right? So if they raise, and so if someone who is a non-believer in Allah, and there is an objection that, why stars are stationary while they are moving, that is that distinctive movement, some fix, some star, the movement of the stars from one zone to the other is for you to see that there is a creator, right? and they orbit around their distinct things. So these are all of the things that we have to consider as part of the almighty creation, right? So we'll talk about, you can study more about stars. There's so many planets, we are discovering them, planets, Earth, and again, there could be other creation on other planets far, far away, light years away. And going to the stars, there's a friendly face over there. It's called the Bear constellation. These stars are always there in the sky. So there's an app that you can download. If you are small, you can get your mom and dad to download. If you're big enough, you can download the sky, the night sky, the constellation. And if you point your camera towards the sky, it will actually draw you all the constellations and show you where the star is, where is Polaris, where can I go to North Star. And the Bear constellation or the Urus is one of the most commonly known in all of the culture. They know it by different names, but these are the fixed stars. Why are they fixed? For us, some of them are used for different purposes, right? And one of the purpose was, if we think that right now, we want to go to some place, we put on navigation, we use GPS, and we go. But when there was no GPS, how did people used to go? Especially on boats. Maybe when you're going on a way, you can remember a path and directions. But how did people, when they were traveling, and there have been pirates and ships for over hundreds and thousands of years, how did they know where to go in such a big, vast ocean? They used the stars for navigation. And it's very easy for anyone that is interested, or sometimes you're going on an adventure and you get lost, you can easily find where the north, south, and the east is by learning a few stars and constellation. And this is what they used, where the stars are and where they're going, and among other tools. But the main thing was the star to tell them. And they used to put angles right across their eye and have a look at what's the angle of the sky is. And going to the universe, Allah has created the universe vast, expensive. We have to look at the sun, moon, all of these things have covers. We have to just think, how is it all created? Can it all be created by itself? Or this is all part of the wonderful design, right? If you ask all of these little things, you will be questioning yourself that it was part of the creation. And same, Allah has created day and night for us, right? What is the benefit? I've already spoken about it. A day or a night does not exceed longer than 15 hours for most part of the world. They are, and again, if we have to ask, what have Allah put a day 100 hours long? We get tired about 10, 15, 20. Even someone gets awake for 24 hours, their body is just saying, go and sleep. So we have to think how this is created for the benefit of the animals and the plants, right? Otherwise, we would have all perished if it was just night. If there was only night and there was no sun, the plants would not get their things, their food, the sunshine, the crops won't grow, and we won't get the heat, the other things won't happen. Same the other way around. So this is all part of day and night, right? The other thing is the heat and cold. Allah Almighty has created heat and cold for us, right? How the heat comes, how much is absorbed by the earth. If all was absorbed, it would have been solid, hard for us, difficult for us to dig or go do agriculture on it. And the cycle. So there is a cycle of heat and a cold coming with summer and winter, and all of has great benefits for us. The benefits for the ailment of the body and other things, right? And this is all part of the design. If it was only heat, trouble. If it was only cold, trouble, right? And Allah knows that this is part of it. And remember the thing that I said at the start, if there was no heat and there was no air to carry heat, the yummy fruits that we eat, the mangoes you're eating right now, or sweet apples or anything, they won't get their sweetness and freshness, because the air and the heat actually ripens the fruit. This is part of the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even with the heat and cold, the things that we only think if we get nice clothes and toys, that then we are happy. There are so many things. Then if we take all of this out, we wouldn't even consider toys or other things. We will say, oh Allah, please give us some heat so the fruits get ripen and we can eat something. Or the sun comes, we get some grain, right? four fundamentals, and these fundamentals are taught at school at higher. So I'm just gonna talk very briefly about them. The four fundamentals are the earth, the air, the fire, and the water. What if the earth was so small, the land was so small? How would we get? How would we get the land to house us? Where would the animals be? Where would the plant grow? Allah has created such a vast and expanse earth for us that to meet the needs of our housing, our agriculture, so we can grow crops, fruits, vegetables. There are forests and jungles for animals, and everything we have studied from the animal kingdom as well. Everything is part of the design and the plan, which is faultless, and it all serves a purpose. Nothing is useless, right? Um, Already talking about air, how air helps us. I'll talk briefly about fire. The fire, what if Allah had created too much fire? If fire is in less quantity than water, if fire was too much, everything would be destroyed. We wouldn't be able to control it. Allah has contained the fire within the wood. So it catches the wood and dry grass and all these things. This is how it comes out. It's not available. It's not like water. There is a river of fire and you just go and pick it up from it. Allah has have created fire so that it is in lesser quantity, whereas water, which is required for our life, fruit, animals, everything is in vast quantity in earth. And one more important thing, if I didn't said it earlier, air is also used for moving the clouds. It's and which causes rain. It takes rain from, and we did it in the animal kingdom as well in this session. The air moves the clouds, and then the rain happens from one place. Otherwise, it would just be water at one place. And air also carries sound. What we speak, when you hear from other, it is the air carrying the sound. If there was no air, if it was complete vacuum, we won't be able to hear anyone. Water is created in abundance for us. There are rivers, oceans, valleys, canals, and Allah has created so much of it because we need it. In what do we use water for? We use water for drinking, for plants, for taking a bath, for washing our clothes, for doing wudu, for praying and worshipping our Lord. That's an important thing. What we have to do is we have to try and make sure that we pray 5 times a day. And every time we are nice, clean, and do our wudu and prepare for it, right? Water is also used for cleaning our utensils. So when you get a chance, and if you're big enough, help your mom and dad clean up your own plates. That's a great start you can do by helping your mom and dad. And same water comes, so rain is part of the sky. If it had rained too much, as some of you guys would have heard in the news and seen, there was flooding in New South Wales. Some of the whole suburbs went underwater. And if it rains non-stop, there would be no fruit agriculture growing up, especially the agriculture. The plants would die of too much water. If it was not raining at all, the plant, some people live in the mountains in other parts of the world where close by there is no water streams and others, and for them to grow their crops, if they had to actually rely on bringing the water, it would be too difficult for them to go and go. So Allah has created rain, and it rains on places where there is no water or rain flowing nearby, and this is how they grow their crops. Now someone can think and say, what if some of the what if it only rained enough? Why does it rain too much? Why does the season become too cold sometimes? Why there's fire happening, other things, bad calamities happen? We will discuss in the, but that is all so that we remember there are blessings and to bring us on track. For everything was good and good, nothing bad happens, we will just be doing and enjoying our life and not remembering our Lord. We will forget. So it is a reminder for us to think about these things. So let's move to the next one. It's not moving. Mountains. So what do we know about mountains? Does anyone know what are mountains? Are mountains made of some fluffy something like marshmallow or something,
No,
or a jelly?
they're made up when there's like some sort of
They're made of something solid.
Yeah, so they are made from the earth and the stones, right? Now and now some of the people may think, oh, the mountains are useless and unnecessary. What was the advantage of it? Sometimes the snow falls on some of the most of the mountains, the snow falls at the top, and when it gets hot, the water flows down in streams, and this is how the water comes. That's one thing that happens. There are a lot of herbs, and we'll be covering herbs that grow specifically cold in the snow. They are only found there, and they have great medicinal and other benefits for us human, and they only grow in that environment, and they need it. Some of the diseases or some of the ailments that we get, we won't be able to fix them if the herbs were not there. So they are there. And why they grow over there? Because they can't grow on lowlands or flat lands. This is how they are. And some of the mountains have big dens and structures. So some of the animals, the bees, they stay there. It is a home for them. They stay there. And sometimes human actually cut into mountains and make their nice fancy homes in it, their dwellings in it. So this is all of it. So when we say, oh, they look useless, we don't know the plan and the design the Almighty Allah has created, right? And there are other benefits of mountains. So people, all the most expensive things like gold, silver, gems, treasures, they are all come from the mountains. So there's something called mines, which they build. They dig it deep into the mountain, and they find diamonds from there. They find silver, gold. They find other things that we use for decorating our house with lime and some marbles. We get sulfurates from there. We get lead that we use for. We get mercury from there. We get a lot of things that we use. There are rubies and gems coming out of it, diamonds, all of these things. They are treasures. If Allah had just opened it and created so many of them, they would have been no value. So they're hard to find, and this is why we believe it. So imagine if you invent something that helps everyone, and you only have 10 or 20 to sell, and everyone wants it, you will probably able to sell it for $1 million. But if you had too many of them and you say, no, I'm going to get everything, then if it's so much available, it won't sell for $1 million or $100 or $1,000. Everyone would say, oh, like 50 cents, 5 cents, 10 cents, because it's readily available. So some things are available in limited quantity so that the value is a certain, right? And this is all part of the all-knowing, all-powerful Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation, so that these gems and gold and silver remain worthful and there is benefit for it. Okay, so this is something that we have to think about it. That why as soon as we think about, hey, mountains are useless, hey, think about the herbs, think about the gold and the silver and the gems that you get out of it. So when every point in time, there will be people who think something is useless. And I'm going to talk about some really useless things which you think are really useless, but they are not. So we're going to talk and cover about these things. Now look at the vegetation. Vegetation are all of these plants, the plant kingdom. There are so many different types of plants, trees. They have fruit in it. Some of them are just leaves. Some of them are dry. They are used as food for animals. Some of them have wood, which we use for building our houses, building our boats. All of these, so many things. You get carpenters working on table, furniture, your kitchen cabinets, your doors. All of these things are built from the wood. And that's why wood is in abundance in nature, right? Imagine if there was no wood and you have to rely on metal, then metal would be expensive. And then to build a house or something, everything would have been so expensive because they are in limited quantity. So things that we need for our daily use, Allah has given it in abundance. So when you want water, water is available in abundance. Wood is available in abundance, right? And one of the wonderful things, I'll just cover it later, but we have to think about it. Some leaves, what are their barks used for? The leaves, some leaves are large, some are small, some have small roots, some have large roots, some have gum. All of these things, some have fruits, some have nutritional values. Some we think have no nutritional value, but they are still useful. And I'll cover some of them why. But we have to think, as the moment we start thinking it's useless, it's not. It's just we are unaware and unknowing of the great benefit of the things. Similar to grains, grains are part of the agriculture. So when you eat your bread, a wholemeal bread, when you eat roti, chapati, naan, they all come from grains. When you're eating lentils, corn, when you're having your breakfast or cereals, quinoa, anything that you eat, they're all part of these grains. And Allah has created agricultural land and the weather and the seasons to support it, the hot and the cold to support the growth of it. And there, and sometimes the birds come and eat your grains. So see the wheat one over here, it is protected at the end, it has sharp pointy end, so to move away. But you say the birds still eat something. Yes, they do, but they don't eat all of it. Some of the things are, some of these grains are hidden in pots. For example, the peas, they are inside a pot, they are hidden to protect them. So Allah has created everything with a purpose and a use for us, and we have to think about these grains and the pulses and the bean that we do. Why are they like this? What helps? Allah has to also feed the birds, so some of them the feed goes, but they don't eat majority of the crops. Little what is for them. For the rest, the farmer works really hard, and Allah rewards those people who work really hard. So this is part of Allah's creation, and their part, they're available. And now imagine the great thing. If only when I put one seed of any fruit plant, if I take any grain, anything, do I get just one fruit out of it? So if I put a seed of an apple, will I get only one apple out of it? If I put a grain of a wheat, do I get only one grain? If I put a grain of a corn seed, do I only get one corn? No, Allah gives in multiplication. For all thank to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For what if we only had one seed and that gives one fruit? How difficult would that have been? We grow it, it takes long, and then it only gives one fruit. And then you put a seed again, it will give, you would be waiting long. It's not. Allah has given multiplication. You put one seed, there are hundreds of fruits coming out of it. You put one seed of an orange tree or an apple tree, you get multiple out of it, not just one. This is the blessing of our Lord, our Creator, that has given to us. We don't think about it, right? If it was just one, what if that tree gets destroyed in a bushfire? We won't be eating that fruit ever. It will go extinct. So Allah has created multiple seeds, multiple fruits, and all of them come out with their seeds. If there is a seed in it, it will all of them have seeds in it, so that they can be used for. Some don't grow out, some do, some get lost, some get destroyed. So these are the things. Now we're going to talk about propagation of plants. Now, how do plants get their food, right? So it's not like an earthworm or someone goes to it and say, hey, would you like a pizza? I'm like, nah, mate, I can't have a pizza. What do I want? I want a nice big ball of manganese, zinc, magnesium, all of these things. Where do plants get their food from? Who can tell me, where do plants or vegetables and all these things, where do they get their food from? Their nutrients from? They don't have any mouth, or do they have a mouth to eat? Do they have a mouth to eat the pizza or anything you give them? Or a mouth to drink water? No? Any mouth. They don't have anything to eat and drink. They have their roots, and their roots go deep down into the ground, and this is where they get their nutrients from. This is how they get their food from. This is how they grow up, and their roots go so down. So when the fast blowing winds come, the plant don't fall. But if you have something standing straight like a tree or a plant, it will fall down. But they don't, because their roots in the ground are they're spread across and they're holding you. And this is the wisdom of the Almighty Creator, which enables the plants to propagate and get their necessary food for them to grow in. So this girl is waiting for these roots to get there all of the nutrients they found. The sun comes onto the leaves. This is all part of the process. The night, the day, all of it. Let's move on to the leaves. Again, leaves are Allah has, if we had to create a leaf for a single plant, we will be creating for a long time. See, the leaves have nice veins like our blood veins, which takes the thing that they need, their food, from the roots, and it goes all the way up to the leaves. And they are not hard, that they just get, when the wind blows, the leaves don't get torn away, they don't break. So this is how they have been created. And they work on purpose and time. They know when it's time for them to fall, during the fall and the autumn. They know they have other time, right? Okay. And the seeds. So we have seeds that come, are embedded inside the fruit. They come from there. This is how we grow them. And I've already told about, when we put a seed, we get lots of fruits and vegetables out of it. So this is part of the seeds. Now, the pomegranate is an excellent example of a fruit. If you look at it, it's very nicely kept. It's actually has a layer of it. It protects it. It's nicely kept. And it's also said that it's one of the fruits of the heaven. So you can look at, next time when you're opening and eating a pomegranate, you should look at it, how each of the seeds are placed, how they're protected, how the pulp is there, how doesn't it get damaged, how it's protected from outside. All of this are as part of this. Now, the next one I'll talk about is these creeper plants. So your melons, watermelons, rock melons, your cucumbers, and all these things, they're all grow on plants that are called creeper plants. Why are they called creeper plants? Because they creep on the ground. Sometimes they go and creep on other trees, other walls, such as chocos, and the cucumbers and others, and they move around and they go, because the weight of the watermelon or all melons is huge. Now, if they were growing on the tree, with their weight, they will fall down and break and will be destroyed. You won't be able to eat. So Allah, as part of his infinite wisdom, he has created them as part of the creeper plants. They move around the ground, and then they grow on it, and the ground is able to hold the weight of the melons, the cucumbers, and anything that you like from there. And this is all part of the, so we have to think about all of these little things, even in the plants, how Allah has created them. Similarly to date palms, dates are good examples. They grow on top. There is they get their foods. They need the weather, the air, and the heat for them to become sweet and ripe. And some of the benefits of the date palm is, its wood is used in buildings, for doors. They're used for making some wooden boxes and other things. There are a lot of things that come out as part of the tree, not just the fruit itself. And one great benefit of the wood is that it floats on water. For if it was not the case, then we would not have built boats. And then we can't carry things from one country which is far away, like Asia or Europe, to something in maybe in the subcontinent, right? So if you're taking something from Europe to the subcontinent, we do it by, for otherwise everything would have been become very expensive, because it would be very difficult to stake something. And we live in Australia, so things that we don't have there, and there was no wood in old times or other places, how would they travel? All of these things, medicinal herbs that are available in other parts, they actually grow somewhere, they cure diseases, they are brought here from mountains and others. They're all done as part of these large ships and boats that were made, right? And if you are fond of pirates, they also run around on this. So again, on the herbs, I've already told some of the benefits of the herbs. They are great. They help us for fixing some joint pains that we have, and so many other medicinal benefits the herbs has. And Allah has created some herbs which we use in our cooking, and some herbs that are part of the medicinal purpose, and they all have purpose. Now we have to ask them, who has given the herbs these properties? Why is some herbs medicinal purpose? Why are some herbs with no medicinal purpose for other? How do they know it, right? And The other thing that we have to think about is some of the others. So they said, oh, maybe someone will say, oh, because we found all these medication and their cures from herbs through trial and error method. We tried, some of the herbs are poisonous, we died, then we learned, and eventually by fluke we learned, oh, this herb can fix a tummy ache, this herb can do this. For that, there is something very interesting to think about, that when some of the birds, their tummy is bad, they go and drink seawater and everything is emptied from their bowels. Who told the bird to have seawater for this? There is a bird called starlings, and this is the bird on your screen. This is called starling. It chooses some very, very specific herbs and then puts it around its nest, and the smell from those plants is actually good for the immune system of the new young hatchlings that come out. Who told the bird to pick those herbs? We learned it to trial and error. How did this bird learn? This is something that has blessed the bird with, and it knows which herb to go and pick. So have anyone heard of a bear that could be a pharmacist or a doctor in giving medication? No? So here are some fun facts about some of the animals, right? So there are a lot of animals, and this is in the scientific journal, which is called PNAS, that lot of animals actually medicate themselves using herbs. For example, a bear are commonly found to do that, deers, elks. There are a lot of carnivorous animals, and I already gave you example of the birds using herbs for other purpose. But how do they know? So I've got some fun facts there for kids to learn and remember, that some lizards, when they get bitten by a snake, they know that there is a certain root they can eat to save them from dying from the poisonous venom. Who told the bird to get that root? And they don't write and learn or go to school, and somebody is telling the other bird. So when they die, and other bird, how did they do it? Same with baboons in Ethiopia, they eat plants of leaf to combat cures for them. There are fruit flies who lay eggs in plants containing high ethanol leaves, so that they are safe from wasps, so wasps don't come and get their offsprings. There are red and green macaws along with many animals that eat clay to aid their digestion and kill bacteria. Who's telling all of them these things? There's pregnant elephants in Kenya. They eat leaves of some trees to induce delivery. Do you know, early on when they found some chimpanzees, they did a research of some chimpanzees, and what they did was they used to self-medicate them. So they looked at those, some of the Japanese scientists, they looked at it and they say, oh, these chimpanzees in Tanzania, they're eating these leaves which have no nutritional value. They don't get energy out of them, but they eat them. Then they went around and they found in 1966 that there were some other chimpanzees in some other part of the world. They were eating the same plants. There were chimpanzees in Africa. They were eating the similar plants. And when they kept on studying, they realized that when a chimpanzee has a bad tummy, they eat these special leaves and the next day it gets cured. Who told the chimpanzee in one part of the world? They're not traveling by boats, oceans, flying, walking. They are in different parts, different kinds and species, yet they know how to fix themselves when they get a tummy ache by eating certain leaves, which probably they will never eat when they want it for food, but when they want to get cured, and they get cured in one day. Maybe some of them are smarter because they're following what the Almighty Creator has told us. So the last part of today's session is some of the things which are worthless, which we think are worthless. So that in front of you is Khaira Badia, which is in English it's called papayas plant, and it was found near the Nile River and others river, and it was considered useless. And people thought but it was not useless, because from it if you see old movies of Moses and Egypt, and they open up scrolls, they were made of this tree. So they used to take this tree and process it, and from then they manufactured mats for kings. They used it for utensils, for covering lids. They use it for so many other things, and as part of predominantly for carrying notes from one place to other. And we thought they had no benefit and they were useless. And other useless thing, which if you go to villages in India and Pakistan or other subcontinental area, you will see cow dung, which is cow's poo. And if you think it's so useless, is there is no vegetables that you eat. They're all given the manure, which is the waste product of these animals. And the picture that I have on your left is cow manure. You can go and buy it from Bunnings. There is sheep manure, all of these things which you think it is shit, literally shit, it's no useful, but they actually are necessary for growing vegetables. And even though you abhor the smell, you think it's so bad smelling, it's useless, but it is as part of Allah's almighty creation. Everything has a use. All we have to do is be thankful to our Lord and find out. Even humans stool is used for the scientist. It's not valuable, but for them it is valuable for doing some experiments and finding some of the diseases that we have. So this is all part of what we don't know. So what did we learn today? There is nothing in creation which is useless. It is for us, we are unaware or not known right now. That's one. And the order and the organization of the universe, the environments are all part of a plan and design of the all-knowing designer. We just have to think about these little things and know. Where can I read more about? This is the link to the book. It's from the book Tauheed al-Muffadal, which was taught by Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam to his student. And this is where we are reading from. The next session will be about the disaster, the natural disasters occur, and why there is wisdom in that as well. Why they are all part of the plan and design. The big tsunamis coming, the earthquakes and others, and we'll be covering some of them and learning interesting facts about them, why they're part of this, right? So so thank you for today's session. I hope you guys have learned something interesting about it. And don't forget to read the book, because it has more information than I can give you in our session. Over to you, Intizar bhai.
Okay, thank you again, Mustajab. Thank you very much for this brilliant session. Let me stop the recording first.